Welcome back to part 37 of Neil Donaldson's Lotus XL restoration. What I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to start off by fixing the CV joint boots, which have become split. The parts have already arrived, so it's just a question of changing them. It's a bit of a mucky job, but yeah, it's something that now has to be done. Once I've finished with that, I'm going to fit a cheapish Android radio. I'm not expecting too much of this radio, but as I say, if it plays music, good. If it charges my telephone, also good. I'm not expecting too much in terms of the navigation and all that. I suspect it's going to be very slow when it comes to that sort of functionality. I did want to keep it cheap, the radio. I didn't want to buy an expensive radio because obviously the risk of getting it stolen and all that is it's not a risk I really want to take. So. Yeah, but it's the way it is. So anyway, as I say, if it charges the phone and plays a bit of music, I'm more than happy with that. When I've done that, I'm also going to take the car for a bit of a run, now that it's all legal. I'm going to take the car for a run to Brussels. Let's try and get a bit of information, see if there's any problems or anything like that. And also how it performs in terms of miles per gallon, that sort of thing. Yeah, as I say, I do have a trip a longest trip to Sicily planned, and maybe Malta. Well, we'll be going to Malta as well. So yeah, I want to basically check the car and see if I'm going to risk it rather than take one of the BMWs instead. There's no time like the present, as they say. So let's get on with it. I've just removed the half shaft from the car. And this is the outer bit here, and as you can see, the boot is completely perished. So I've ordered some new ones, and I'm expecting them to get them delivered tomorrow. So that's the reason why I'm already starting on this. I'm going to try and dismantle that completely and get ready for when they get the new ones delivered. I'm going to replace them, obviously both sides, and on both sides of the drive shaft and both sides of the car as well. I've tapped away at the outer clip there. Removed it, got it loose, so now I'll do the same with the inner clip, sort of release that bit there. Now there's plenty of grease in there, so I'm hoping that that's still salvageable. It looks okay. I guess when we've cleaned it up, we'll see if there's any play or anything and have a look at the condition of the ball bearings and stuff inside. But I'm expecting to find a circlip somewhere here, so I'll have to clean that up and see what there is, just to see if it'll either pop off or you have to release a circlip from both ends maybe. But let me do that. There is a snap ring to take out. It's there, and I'm going to have to lever that out somehow, probably with a couple of screwdrivers, I think. Removing the circlip there proved to be extremely challenging, but I did manage to lever it out eventually with two screwdrivers, and then I sort of tapped this bit downwards, and that's kind of released this cover here as well. So now I can concentrate on this bit, and there should be another circlip behind that, a C-clip I think, which I'll have to remove as well to get the CV joint actually off the shaft. The outer circlip there was much easier to remove than the inner circlip, so that sort of comes off. I don't think there's a particular way that goes on. It can go on either way. This is the thickest circlip here, which was much more difficult to remove, and I'm just wondering if it is necessary to do that. So then you've got the casing just to come off, then the outer race of the bearings, then the boot itself should pull off, and then I'll dismount the other side, which is a completely different bearing, a completely different CV joint to the other side. So they run on ball bearings, which are there, and that run on roller bearings. We also need obviously a completely different grease for the inner side as that side, which is the outer side. But okay, let me concentrate on that so I can pull off these components one by one and make sure they go back in the same order. I've cut away the retaining clips of the inner boot, and now I'm going to have a remove that. I'm probably not going to re-grease it completely. I'll just add a bit more grease in that one because it's perfectly sealed, that one. And I must admit, even though that's ripped, the outer boot, the quality of the grease is pretty good, and the quality of the components is absolutely spot on. There's yeah, but I will clean that up and re-grease it, obviously, just in case there was any grit. But there's no reason to do that one. I will replace the boot, but add a bit more grease, but I won't need to clean it out and re-grease it that way. So I'll remove that boot now. Well, there's a surprise. That's interesting. I was expecting roller bearings in there, but it's actually ball bearings. So that surprised me a lot. And I'm now wondering if I'm going to have enough grease. Obviously, I think this job has been done at some point in the past. But yeah, I just better be a bit careful about how much grease I use in there, because it's the second type of grease there, and I've got to use, I've only got one packet. But anyway, I'll replace the boot. There's not the slightest hit of corrosion or pitting or anything of that nature in any of those components there, so I guess I've had a bit of luck here. And I noticed the boots were split in time. I think if I'd have gone to Sicily and back with the boots in that condition, I could have written these axles off completely. But there you go, absolutely perfect. Those components could not be in better condition. I've assembled the ball bearings, and I guess now it's time to pack it all with grease. I need to learn how to fasten those clips up properly, but other than that, job done. Very pleased. I'm trying to wire in the radio at the moment, and I've established that yeah, there's two cables here to come out that's already wired in. So the yellow one corresponds to the ignition. When the ignition's on, obviously you get power through the yellow. The purple there is the constant live. The neutral I've already established. Sorry, the earth wire I've established there and made a connection. What I'm trying to do now is checking which is the speakers. So if I look under the door on the right hand side here, there's a red and black wire there going to the speaker. I've just wired up the speaker temporarily, and a black wire there for the neutral. So I'm going to test now. Got a battery down there wired up, and I just want to test now. In fact, I'll just mount the camera sort of somewhere there. So about there, hopefully you can at least hear it if nothing else. But I'm going to connect that black wire now just to test where I've got the speaker here in the live. There is the live wire. Hang on. There it is. So let me test if that works. Yes. So we've got connection to the speaker on the right hand side. So that's fine. Now I have to establish the connection to that speaker there. But I'll wire those two up now, and then I can wire up the right hand side speaker. So that's fine. I've established then that the speaker wires are, so that's front left, positive and negative there. Front right, positive and negative. I've established also that that's rear right, positive and negative. And I assume, but I still have to dismantle the speaker from the back, that that's rear left, positive and negative, but I still have to check that. Also, I've wired in the GPS there, which sort of, I would have preferred to have sort of gone through the dash there, but I can't wire it through there, so I've just wired it through there probably temporarily now until I come to do the dashboard. Take the dashboard out and the whole damn interior needs to be ripped out and done again. So let me get on with wiring it all in place. I may have to, it's a very tight fit to get the radio in there, so I think all this
has to come out, and I imagine the gear stick's got to come off again, but it's not a huge job to do that, so I'll do it tomorrow though. I've had enough for tonight. Yeah, I've been at it for quite a long time now, but I managed to get all 4 speakers wired up and the radio's working, and I've tested it for yeah, that all 4 speakers are working. I guess that concludes that then. Well, I've still got to take all this out because it's a bit difficult to slot it in there with the gear stick in place, so I'm going to have to remove the gear stick properly and slot it all up there. I've kind of protected these with wires because as soon as I put it in there, no doubt the wires will just come loose again. But let me sort that out then anyway. I don't know if I'm going to do it tonight, it's getting a bit late. I've given the car a couple of 100 kilometres drive to Brussels, and here it is parked in the garage next to my mate's Joris's car there. I did have 1 or 2 issues though when I drove it down here. It's the longest trip it's ever done, about a 3-hour drive from the home in Luxembourg. One of the things is that obviously I didn't bolt up one of the mufflers properly on the exhaust pipe, and that's come loose. So the exhaust pipe was literally it was literally hanging off from one of the connectors there, but I've managed to bolt it together now, so that should be that sorted out to get back. And also the power steering belt is still causing me issues. It's still screeching, so probably not going to be able to get under that today. I don't have a proper, I wouldn't want to get on with it unless I had a proper jack anyway, but yeah, I'm going to have to sort that out, see if I can sort that out. It's been causing issues, that power steering pump. But yeah, I've got the radio in as well. Radio works properly, but I still haven't managed to synchronise it up properly with the phone. So yeah, I'll have to get that sorted out, get the maps downloaded properly. I'm preparing it for the potential trip to Sicily, which is coming up in, well actually I'm going to be setting off next weekend. So yeah, it's probably looking likely that I'm going to take this rather than one of the BMWs. So I've got the device up and running, and I've managed now to connect it to my phone, which was a tricky setting to find. But I'm currently updating my maps, so I'm getting some offline maps just in case I go somewhere where there's no internet connection. So yeah, it's always best to rely on offline maps when you're travelling, I suppose. So I just wanted to run through with you a few statistics, well, basically the consumption that I did on my way to Brussels and back. So basically I set off from home in Luxembourg, and I drove all the way to the centre of Brussels, where I met my friend, stayed with my friend Joris's. So on the way there, I stopped pretty close to the Luxembourgish border at a place here called Pommerloch, and refueled there, and then obviously drove to Brussels. Then I drove all the way back to home, and then when I got home I had to go and refuel, so I drove to this place here called Bollendorf where there's a petrol station there. So I'll have a look at some of the statistics here. Yeah. So from Pommerloch to Brussels, it was a distance of 165 kilometres, which translates to 102.53 miles. And then I didn't do much driving in Brussels itself, mostly took public transport when I was there. But Brussels to home was an extra 216 kilometres, which translates to 134 miles. And then obviously when I got home, I drove to Bollendorf to refuel. That's an extra 10 kilometres, which is 6.21 miles. So in total, I did a distance of 391 miles, which translates to almost 243 kilometres. 391 kilometres, which translates to almost 243 miles. The total number of litres of fuel I used during that time was 39.2 litres, which translates to 8.62 gallons. This gives us then a miles per gallon of 28.17, or in metric terms, that's 10 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, actually, I don't think that's too bad. As I say, I've looked into some of the the old magazines that I used to get, and some of the tests they did on the Lotus XL back in the day, and it corresponds quite closely to what they achieved in the day. So, I mean, I think on a longer trip with more motorway running, basically sticking to speed limits and all that, 30 miles to the gallon here is not out of the question. But I guess we'll soon find out anyway when we do the run to Sicily. But yeah, so far so good.
As for the navigation system, the entertainment system I've got in the car, I don't really wholeheartedly recommend it for navigation. I mean, it plays music well, and it's good for sound and notifications, that sort of thing. But I'll probably go with the phone when it comes to navigation and use Waze on the phone. Yeah, it's just very slow to respond, the entertainment system. It does work, and once you get it up and running, it's not too bad. But I can't fully recommend it, I must be honest. But anyway, that concludes the video for today. As I say, there's an interesting trip coming up. So, yeah, please like and subscribe for updates on that. And once again, thanks for watching the video, and see you soon. Goodbye.